Hi friends, how are you? So I wanted to make a follow-up video to my previous video on political candidates, particularly one that I pretty much 100% sure I'm not going to vote for, and I really appreciate your comments. I just wanted to follow up just to open up more dialogue and also kind of clarify some things. I think that some people kind of were guessing as to what my political affiliation is, and the answer to that is I don't have any. I have registered as independent. That means that I don't affiliate myself with either Republicans or Democrats. Just in general, I tend to try to look at the issues themselves as opposed to the person kind of putting them forward. So if there is an issue that I agree with, even if it's being supported by someone that I typically don't agree with, I will support that issue itself even if I don't necessarily support the person. Conversely, if there's someone that I generally support and they come up with an idea or support a stance that I don't agree with, I'm not going to agree with that stance just because someone that I typically agree with agrees with that, if that makes sense. Try not to just kind of blindly support someone or oppose someone. But for the presidential candidacy, we do need to make some of those character decisions because we are electing a person in their campaign supporting certain issues. So we do have to look at that. So that's, first of all, one of the things that I look at. Obviously, I do wish that there were more political parties that were able to win a presidential election, but unfortunately the way it is right now, we really end up only having two real candidates that have a big chance of winning when it comes to it in the general election. So secondly, character-wise, I look at, can this presidential candidate really make firm choices and stick to them? While I do understand that people do change throughout their lifetimes. If someone has a habit of, for example, flip-flopping, or they have a tendency to lie, or they have a tendency to do whatever, just like in our own personal relationships, I mean, I think that's something that does need to be taken into account. While people can change, and I do believe in people, I do also realize that people tend to follow previous patterns regardless of how convincing they are at the current moment. So unless there's some significant evidence that something has changed and there's a reason why it's changed and all of that, if someone has a history of lying, I'm going to probably assume that they're lying to me now too. So that's just something that I do factor in. As well as habits, I also look at how this person has interacted with other people, because the presidential candidate does need to really make decisions along with other people in important positions within this country, as well as communicate with other leaders around the world. So the person's interpersonal skills are important, and if someone really is a jerk and has a history of being a jerk, not necessarily just when they were younger, but like has a continuous pattern of behavior, that's something I'm going to look at. Or just kind of seeing how they treat people in general in their lives is an indicator of how much they value. If they only value you because you have something to give them, then that means that they don't really value you, and they might be, making a decision that's not in your best interest once it's no longer in their best interest to have your interests in mind, if that makes sense. Another thing that I'm going to look at is, does this person really respect the experiences and the lives of people within this country and throughout the world, just humanity in general. We need to make sure that we have someone who can talk to all types of people, leaders of all countries, and be able to stay firm. So someone who flip-flops a lot probably is not going to stay very firm, might not be able to get things done when the pressure's on. When you're meeting with another world leader, pressure is on. This is, a very high pressure position. Is this someone who can handle it? Someone who can be firm on the issues that have been decided upon and get things done, while also being understanding and facilitating dialogue between world powers, because, while we do have a lot of influence in the world sphere, we are not the leaders of the world. So we do have to be able to negotiate and to help facilitate positive change, not only within our country, but also in the world. So this being said, I think it kind of goes without saying, but I find it very important to look at whether a presidential candidate understands the contextual components and history of issues and dynamics going on both within our country and outside of our country, because I think that some candidates do simplify things a lot. And granted, once someone is president, they become aware of a lot more nuances to certain issues that the general public is not aware of. But in candidates' debates, it's important, I think, to look at what do these candidates understand. So do they understand the experiences of people within this country in different states, in different socioeconomic standings, different races? I mean, there's so many different people in this country, which is what makes our country so great. Do they understand that different groups of people might experience something in different ways? If a candidate oversimplifies things too much, I'm a little bit hesitant, a little bit wary. And granted, I understand when a presidential candidate is talking to the general public, they do have to speak in a way that the general public will understand. I do appreciate it when candidates take the time to really explain what they stand behind and why they stand behind it, and they kind of break it down for the general public. So I think that is very important. I am wary also of kind of flash and pizzazz and fear-mongering and all of that. I want to know that the candidates understand what it is they support and that they genuinely support it. Sincerity, I think, is very important. I do think that it's important for anyone who wants the vote of the American people or the people of any country to really take it upon themselves to inform the public and to really express why they believe in what they believe, and not necessarily just kind of play to the media or only kind of try to tailor themselves to whoever they're speaking to at the moment. While that is something that they have to keep in mind, they like kind of flip-flopping based on who you're talking to is not a good sign of a future leader of one of the most influential countries in the world, a large country at that. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and I do welcome you to kind of express what you are kind of taking into consideration when you decide on who you're going to vote for. Whether you want to talk about the issues themselves, which issues you support or don't support, or if you want to talk about the process itself, please let me know in the down bar. And if you want to tell me who you're going to vote for or you think you might vote for, please do. If you are curious as to who I'm considering that I might vote for, I'll let you know. And I mean, I haven't decided yet. I haven't made a firm decision yet. So if you have something that you want to tell me, some bit of information that you find really important, you think might be important to me in making my decisions, please feel free to share it. So some people that I have kind of looked at possibly voting for are Sanders, Rubio, and also, I don't know as much, but Jeb Bush kind of, and Kasich. So those are some people that I have thought about voting for. Carly Fiorina, there are certain things that I have liked about her presentation, but I haven't really followed her all that much. Certain people that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to vote for, 100% sure I'm not going to vote for, are, if you've watched my last video, Trump. And if you want to know why, just watch my last video. Cruz, I'm not going to vote for him. His lack of consideration for the human lives, saying, hey, collateral damage is okay, don't worry about it, that's called war crimes. That's not something that you want to support. Making military decisions is necessary. If it happens accidentally, I mean, it's still a huge tragedy, and calling it anything else, calling it collateral damage when actual human lives are involved, doesn't make it any less tragic, and also he has kind of a history of not being a very nice person from what I've heard, both in his earlier years and also in the Senate. So I'm not thinking of voting for Cruz. And Trump and Cruz and, you know, Christie as well, certain ways in which they present themselves, I mean, I think have a very large possibility of creating a world war in which both people within this country, either on our soil or fighting abroad, will be losing lives, and then also people abroad will probably also lose lives as well. So it's just kind of a lose-lose situation all around. Not thinking of voting for any of them. And Carson, I'm not really considering him either. He hasn't really gotten his facts straight a lot of the time. Honestly, I haven't followed him as much, but from what I do know about him, I'm not really leaning towards voting for him either. And Sanders, honestly, I think is the one that I'm leaning towards the most, in Rubio. Those are the two that have really caught my attention the most, followed by Bush. But let me know what your thoughts are on specific political candidates. I know that if you're watching this video after the primaries are over, we're going to know the outcome of the primaries, and this is probably going to seem kind of obsolete because we're going to kind of know who the main two contenders are in the general election, but that's why I wanted to kind of put specific names at the end, because I think the rest of the video is still relevant regardless of when you're watching it. And yeah, just let me know what your thoughts are in the down bar in the comments section. If you want to express, like I said, the process by which you kind of decide on who's a good political candidate, if you want to talk about the issues that you're really looking at to decide on who you support, and or if you just want to tell me who you're going to support and why, or you're not going to support and why. I just hit my hand on the desk. Just let me know. And my more regularly scheduled videos, more typical videos are coming up. It's not going to be a channel totally about politics, but if you do have some video ideas, you can also let me know as well if you want me to talk more about specific political issues. If not, most of my videos are going to kind of be my regular, more reflections on like psychological issues, because that's been my area of study, and or just general world issues, which, I mean, I guess politics and psychology kind of both come into play. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.